Hello, everyone, and welcome to my I Love Learning podcast with Joe Polanin today. Today is a very, very special edition podcast. I set it up specifically because of the special nature of today. Today is Veterans Day. I'm here to honor with Joe the veterans, their families, and everyone who has served or been involved in the service. And today is a celebration for all. And so thank you so much, Joe, for being with me today. Thank you so much for coming early to start the day this week with this celebration. And so today, Joe is going to share with us who he is and what he's passionate about. And this is going to be a very, very inspirational session. So, Joe, thank you for being with me this morning.
Gina, thank you so much for having me on this special day. And it is absolutely an honor and a privilege to be here and to share this celebration. So aptly put, as you said, it's a celebration of our veterans and their families who truly are our heroes, who have provided for us and continue to provide for us the freedoms and the liberties that we hold dear. Um, as far as myself goes, just a super short introduction. And as you said, what I'm passionate about. I served 30 years in the Navy from 1990 to 2020. My profession was explosive ordnance disposal. This is the bomb squad. Probably 20 of the 30 years that I served were in positions of command or command authority. This is analogous to being the CEO or COO, sometimes both. Very often they were globally integrated units or organizations. Sometimes they were true global enterprises. I've had the great privilege of operating with about 2.5 dozen of our allies and partner nations around the world. And I have also had the great honor to live and serve in over 75 countries. And when I
Wow.
transitioned out of the military in 2020, I always knew that I wanted to do something more and I wanted to continue to serve. I just didn't know what that something was. And together with my daughters, we founded the Alakai Leadership Group, which is a private consulting practice. I've leveraged the lessons learned and the best practices I derived from my military service together with my daughters, as I mentioned, and we provide customized senior executive consulting. What I'm passionate about is helping a team to achieve a bold goal despite any obstacles or any barriers that they may face. I've had the great privilege to do this several times, both in the military and out. And it's not a matter of if we're going to face challenges or adversity. It's a matter of when. And it's a matter of the frequency and the nature and the duration of those challenges. And what I love to do and what we love to do is to help teams aim higher, achieve more, and despite any obstacle, accomplish that bold goal together. That for me is a continuation of service, and it's helping teams do great things. That's what we love.
Joe, this is it's such an impactful and important key concept that you talk about because we're in a time where people need to be inspired. We're in a time where people are looking towards teams and looking for leaders for inspiration. And I know I connected with you several months ago and I felt the energy and love that you have, and just inspiring teams to be the best that they can be. And I'm just curious, like you're so passionate about this. You feel it when you talk and when you speak and when you connect. Has there ever been something that's kind of holds you back from doing this because you're so passionate about doing it, but has there ever been a time that maybe something stood in your way of your passion? And how did you look that in the eye, or how did you overcome it or face it to continue to move forward?
Yeah, thank you, Gina. There have been many times,
Mm.
and I think getting through that and getting through those circumstances, as I mentioned earlier, it's not a matter of if or when we're
Mm.
going to face challenges. It's a matter of the nature of them, and the frequency and the duration. So there are many instances where there have been seemingly impossible roadblocks, and I would like to share one brief story with you that illustrates that. As a young midshipman at the Naval Academy, I aspired to compete for and be selected for the elite Navy diving and EOD community. And as you know, that is what my career of service was in the Navy. But early on, I was told by doctors, you will never get into that community because you have various medical issues. The stringent medical requirements for the Navy for all elements of service are there for a reason. And at age 21 in 1989, I was told, never, you'll never do this. And of course, I was distraught and I was upset. But something inside of me said, there really isn't any such thing as never. What there is an affirmation that we have in our soul that says, I'm not going to quit. And this goes back to the motto of the early bomb disposal units that became the explosive ordnance disposal community in the military. World War I, they were known as thunder stealers, because what they would do is literally prevent a bomb or an ordnance item from detonating, stealing the thunder out of the bomb. And there's a motto that we have. It's called TDQ. Thunder stealers don't quit. So how did I overcome that? When I was at the Naval Academy, about 120 people tried out for 5 spots. This was a combination of physical fitness, academic excellence, and an interview to gauge one's mental potential for this and emotional potential for this type of service. When the smoke cleared, I finished 6th. All 5 above me chose, and I was told that medically, you're not going to do this. So I kept after it. The next year, I tried out again as a junior officer. About 55 or so from the fleet applied, and 4 were chosen, and I was 1. Then I got into dive school. 21 started, 9 finished.
Wow.
Then I got into EOD school. 25 started, 4 finished. And I was blessed and fortunate to be one of them. And so am I anyone special? No, I was never the fastest. I was never the strongest. I was never the most intelligent. What I had was this feeling inside of me that I'm never going to quit. And when I don't quit, I'm going to reach to the side and bring my teammate and make sure my teammate's successful also. So that was early on in my career. But Gina, that transitioned into a philosophy and a mindset that I've carried forward throughout my military service and today.
Wow. That is, so many people need to hear that are listening. You don't have to be the most skilled. You don't have to be the brightest. You don't have to be the most healthy, the strongest. You just have to have that will. So what keeps you moving forward towards that journey then? Is it that will inside, that desire to excel? What is it that keeps you moving forward?
Gina, for me, it's all about people. There are 2 groups that I'd like to talk to you about what keeps me moving forward. Every day when I wake up, I have a feeling of gratitude and respect for the people in my life. And it starts with family. My wife was always extremely supportive of my military service, 3.5 decades.
Wow.
And our daughters, as they grew up, they used to speak to me about this, and they always wrote about this, how their experiences as a military child forged for them a philosophy of number 1, always do your best. Have that will that you mentioned. Always do your best. Always give 100% to every effort that you're in. And number 2, be confident in yourself. Have that inner confidence that says, I can. When you are presented with a challenge, I will. And it's not a matter of, okay, we're not going to find a way to solve this problem. It's a matter of, we're going to find a way, or we're going to make one, and we're going to do it together. And so for me, the people in my life, the teammates, and specifically starting with my family, every time there has been a challenge, whether it's small or whether it's massive, every time there's been a period of chaos or catastrophe, every single time, for me, what has kept me moving forward and has never allowed me to lose that feeling or that personal will. It's been about people, and specifically my family and the teammates with whom I have the privilege to serve, both in the past and today.
It's such tied to learning science, being connected. We're in such a time where you're in a room with people, even your family, and everyone's on their phone. And the reality is that it's really hampering our ability and skill to connect and know how to connect and want to be connected. And there is such a disconnect between wanting to be alone and being engaged. And I really can appreciate the fact that you specifically mention teams, mention people, because we can't do anything alone. We can't run a business. I'm a CEO. Can't you or CEO? Can't do a business by yourself, and you can't do life by yourself. When
Oh,
you've decided to disconnect with those around you, you stop living, you stop growing. And it's really important as we enter into the holiday season specifically, that if you're feeling alone and you're feeling sad and you have these feelings, you have to reach out to people in your community, because you can't be alone. We have to be together, and we have to reach out to our teams, people that we trust, um, to lift each other up, to lift our spirits up. And so thank you for that. And so what keeps you happy, Joe? Every time I talk to you, you're so uplifting, and we always have great conversations. What keeps you happy?
well, Gina, I want to continue on this theme of
Yeah.
people, and there's
Uh-huh.
something that you said earlier that connects this
Mm.
to the answer I'm about to share, and that is that I have always believed that our lives are not about us.
Mm.
Our lives, our purpose, we are here for a reason, and that reason is to create positive and lasting impact for other people. I'm reminded of a time when we were working on an initiative for our family members within our unit, our organization, when I was in the military, and our goal was big. We had about 5,000, maybe 5,500 family members that were assigned to this unit, and there had never been in history prior to that time any type of family readiness or family resource group where the family members could connect with the military leadership and have different support structures explained to them. You have a young family, maybe 20, 21, 22, and they're brand new in the military, and they're in this arduous training or this arduous operational environment, and they don't know what they don't know until someone reaches out and helps them. So we created a very dynamic program, and one of the leaders on my team came to me and he said, "Oh my gosh, 5,500 people, how are we going to do this? It's insurmountable." And I said, "We're going to do this one person and one family at a time. And after we help one, then we're going to help two. And after we help two, then we're going to help five." And just
Mm.
like you said, if you ever are in need of help, reach out, pick up the phone. There are people who care for you. There are people who will help you, and will have that will and that focus to give you the assistance and the inspiration that you need. The other element that I want to share with you, relevant to what keeps me happy and what keeps me positive, again, it's the element of people. So I talked earlier about family, and I want to talk about leaders and other teammates. I think it's imperative for all of us that we surround ourselves with people who are better, stronger, faster, more resilient, have more grit, have more experience across a range of functional areas, that they will then inspire us and uplift us and empower us and motivate us to become better than we ever thought possible. Everyone needs that.
Mm.
People who are positive need that. People who are having a tough day need that. People who are having some challenges in life, both personally and professionally, need that. Everyone needs that. And that's one of the reasons why I so enjoy knowing you and learning from you, because for me, you're one of those people.
Aw, Joe, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. Well, the feelings are mutual. I know when I need something, I can reach out to you as well. So thank you. I think we need each other. That's the thing, right? I mean, we can't do life alone. Everyone reaches. I just shared last week on the book the chapter I wrote on invisible illness. You
Mhm.
may imagine your life a certain way. You may have thought of your life a certain way, and it may not be that way. So we have to surround ourselves with people who are smarter, who are brighter, who are uplifting to just lift everybody up. So I can appreciate that so much. Was this something you learned, Joe? I'm just curious. Is this something that you learned in military, or were you just born with a sense of gratitude and uplifting others, or is this like something that you learned along the way?
So, Gina, I think it's both.
Mm,
I think that there is certainly an intangible element that I believe, as sure as we're talking here today, that I believe that I inherited from my mother and father,
hmm
that can't really be spoken, but it's something that is passed along in the bloodstream. And then I think it was amplified in my youth and
mm,
reinforced through core values and standards, um, throughout my growth and development, and then reinforced again in the military, where I had many learning experiences.
hmm
So I truly believe it was a combination of inherited and learned values and opportunities. I had many great leaders in the military that inspired me to aim higher, think bigger, achieve more. And this was always something that, as a young child, was reinforced to me many times. My mother and father used to always say to us, "You can achieve anything that you
hmm
want if you do your personal best. If you give 100% to anything that you want to do, you can achieve anything. Oh, you have the opportunity. All you have to do is do it." And
Yes.
that's what I started out with, and then thankfully, that's what was reinforced for me, and what I continued to learn. And I think experiences teach us this, and I'm sure you'd agree that
hmm
we go through different experiences. And as I mentioned earlier, it's not about what happens; it's about how we decide to act and move forward. And I'm fond of the abbreviation DCA: decide, commit, act. You
Mm.
think about what you want to do, you make a decision. Okay, now you've made the decision. Great. You have to commit 100% of your personal best effort to that decision. And then you have to take intentional action that is aligned with what you want to achieve. And when we do that, you know
Mm.
what else we do? We let go of things that aren't important, and it makes room for more intentional focus about what our goals are. So I think it was a combination of both, and I'm resolved today to make the best decisions I possibly can based upon the information I have, commit to those decisions fully, and then take action that's aligned with that. And in so doing, let go of some of the things that don't align with that.
That framework is incredible. I'm actually going to use that for our company next week and publish it and give
Please
you
do.
credit. Yeah, that's amazing. So,
Please do.
what do you think this whole season I changed the focus of the podcast a little bit because
Mhm.
I like this idea and Nike coined it. You just said it, just do it. Just do it. They had a whole marketing campaign with t-shirts that say that. So, what is winning to you? If I asked you what is winning, what would you say in your words? What is winning?
Winning to me is all about that ethos that we talked about a few moments ago, relevant to inspired teams achieving a bold goal together despite any obstacle. And
Mm,
I want to speak for a minute about how I see that as defining winning. It's never about what any individual teammate
mm,
wants or what any individual manager or leader wants. There's a phrase that I like to use from time to time, and I think it's more like a mindset and an ethos, and it's teammates, mission. Nowhere in there is any description or any communication about the individual's goals. The individual's goals are secondary or tertiary to what the team needs to achieve. So there's an opportunity for teams, and I especially want to just focus for a minute on the opportunity to thrive in a position of challenge, in a position or an environment of adversity, or even in chaos. Great leaders and great teams thrive in those moments because there's a clarity and a simplicity that occurs, and it's okay. There's this chaos going around us. There's a situation of adversity. There's a problem that's happening, but we're going to remain calm. We're going to deliberate and have a plan over how we're going to overcome this and achieve our goals. And we're going to do so together with unity of effort. Everyone rowing in the same direction. I use the analogy of the crew team, right? You have, depending on the boat, you have 4 to 8 amazing athletes who are the best at what they do, who row in unison, who are strong, who are organized, who are efficient, who are resolute, and they're pulling with every ounce of their strength, and they're all facing backwards. They cannot see what winning is. They cannot see the finish line, but they know most assuredly that they're going to win together despite any problems because they have somebody called a coxswain, and that person is not rowing, but they are looking downrange and they see the result, and they're making tiny adjustments and they're giving tiny bits of guidance throughout, and one cannot exist without the other. So for me, it's about winning is about, despite any obstacle, we will together as a team find a way or make one, not only to overcome the obstacle or the adversity, but to achieve that goal, because it's all about a bold goal. It's all about a bold vision. And when a team aspires to do something great, maybe it's a movement, maybe it's a reorganization of a company, maybe it's starting a new company, maybe it's a social endeavor, or maybe it's a charitable cause. Whatever that cause is, whatever that bold goal is, when a team gets together and they have that mindset and they're rowing like that team, they can accomplish limitless outcomes. And for me, that's winning, because there's a core element of this that I didn't mention before that I want to conclude with on this point, and that's trust. When all those things that I just described are happening, teammates share trust. And in my experience, both in the military and out, when a team shares trust and they're in pursuit of something amazing and something bold, they can achieve limitless outcomes, and they're going to get there. They absolutely will.
Absolutely. That is so key, right? The trust. And I wonder, Joe, because when I started my podcast, I had somebody reach out to me, a few people who said that they'd lost their passion for learning. Maybe I'm thinking about it. Maybe it's about building trust. But what would you say to that person that emailed me and said they lost their passion? If someone says to you, you interact with a lot of leaders, a lot of veterans, a lot of non-veterans. I mean, just in general, if someone has lost their passion for learning, and they're feeling going down this spiral, what would you say to them? What advice would you have to them?
Well, Gina, I would give them 2 critically important pieces of advice, and these are things that I have done many times in my life, in our profession, in our focus as leaders. The first thing that I would say to them is take a pause, take a break, just stop for a little while. Don't think about anything. I know it's hard to do that in November of 2024. It's hard to do that. I went swimming the other day, and I said, "Oh, it's great because I can swim, and I just don't think about anything for 45 minutes." How do you not think about anything? I just take a pause, do something else, and don't think about anything, and allow yourself, as my mom likes to say, allow yourself to just be, even if it's for 10 minutes, right? When we do that, I find that we can be reinvigorated, re-inspired, and there are opportunities that present themselves that may be new passions. The second element of advice that I would give to anyone who feels that way is after you pause and after you have that thinking, when you find something that you are passionate about, or if you're struggling to find something that you're passionate about, or like you said, you've lost your passion for learning, I always focus on 3 elements in my life for which I'm grateful, some of which I talked about earlier today. And that's what I like to call the F3 principle: faith, family, and friends. Mm. I find that rooting myself and grounding myself, and when I have these periods of challenges, or I may feel disillusioned about something, I always go back to that foundation, that firm foundation of faith, family, and friends. Faith in ourselves, that we can overcome any obstacle that's in front of us, and we always have the ability and the potential to actually overcome more than we think we can. There's no reason why I should have been able to get into the Navy diving and EOD community, but yet here I am 34 years later, and I did it. There's no reason, on paper, there's no reason why I should have done it. Why did I succeed in certain very challenging, high-risk environments and others did? I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I know that part of it was never losing that faith in ourselves, faith in our teammates, and faith in the fact that everything happens for a reason. We may not know why that is today. We may not know why that is 5 years from now. We may never know. But it's all about our faith in ourselves and being able to have faith in our teammates and moving forward together. Our family, I mentioned earlier, the importance of that. Our family's love and support is with us always. And I want to emphasize that it may be what some consider a traditional family, right? Parents, brothers and sisters, children. It may be others in our lives who we consider family members. Whoever you consider as a family member, whoever's important to you, that you love and respect, and who's always there for you, rely on them in these times. And finally, our friends with whom we share a common bond, we share common core values, we share loyalty. We're always there for each other, no matter what. Friends who have your back, and friends who inspire you, as we talked about earlier, the people who inspire us, uplift us, who make us want to be better than who and what we are right now. I have a dear friend who I first met in elementary school in the 6th grade. And, we keep in touch today, and we share all kinds of wonderful things. He served in the Marine Corps. So honoring him today as well as a fellow veteran. But it doesn't matter if we go 3 months without talking. It doesn't matter if we would go 3 years without talking. We wouldn't. But what I'm saying is, friends who no matter what, they're going to be there for you in those times. And so again, I would go back to that foundation for anyone who's thinking, maybe I've lost my passion for what I want to do in life, or I've lost my interest in learning. Faith, family, and friends.
Incredible, Joe. So many people need to hear that. Last week on my podcast, this season, I'm doing ask a question to a future guest. And Lisa Zarconi, I think you listened. I saw you popping notes to her. She asked this question of you, and she wanted to know, in what part of your journey did you realize you were going to impact the world in a positive way? She just really was interested in your journey.
Oh, thank you so much, Gina, and thank you, Lisa. Um, I don't know if there was a specific point, but there were several very important inflection points that caused me as a leader to pause and say, what am I doing?
Mm.
Why am I doing this? And what's next? And I'll point to one actually maybe two specific conversations at different points in my career. One was about 2005. I was serving on the staff of the United States Second Fleet. This
Mm.
is the Navy's responsibility for the Atlantic, NATO, and the operational forces therein. So the staff was about 550 people, and the personnel within the Navy at the time were probably about 123,000, and then all the ships and all aircraft, submarines for the Atlantic Fleet. And I had a variety of different jobs, and I loved doing them all. And I had a boss who called me into his office one day, and he said, "Hey, do you have a few minutes?" I said, "Oh, absolutely." Came in, as I always did, took out my notebook, getting ready to take notes. My boss is going to tell me some important things. And he said, "Hey, you can put your notebook away." He said, I see you running around doing all these great things. We go into a meeting, you're taking notes, you're giving them to the admiral. There's a planning conference, you're running around doing it. There's a response force that's coming up for some mission. You're involved in it, and you got all these different hats that you wear. And he said, when are you going to stop doing things and start inspiring teams of people to accomplish big things? And it just hit me like a wall. And at the time, I don't think I fully realized what he was saying. I knew it was important. I walked out of his office, feeling about 4 inches taller, but with all these ideas in my head about exactly what's he talking about. And that was an inflection point for me, because I knew that as I was moving forward in my military career and I was continuing to advance in grade and competing for some of the very privileged and humble selections for command and other opportunities that I had in my career, I knew that I was going to have to let go of some old ways of doing things, even if they worked right, in order to make room for the new skills and the new abilities that I needed at that next level.
Wow.
And that was a huge inflection point for me. And it really made me think hard. And I think it helped me realize even more, in response to Lisa's question, what I knew from that point on, that what I was going to do was going to be different. And the
Wow.
impact I was going to have was going to be different.
Wow.
And it was totally up to me. And that was very empowering. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, I think that it's just commendable that you were so self-aware to even recognize that that was happening in that moment, to make, your story and your mission that much clearer for you. So thank you for that.
Of course.
So next week, or not next week, actually Thursday. So our podcast will be Thursday, our normal time this week. This again is a special edition. I'm going to have Naomi Beers on my podcast. She actually lives on the beautiful Mediterranean island of Cyprus. Don't we wish we could be there? I'm not sure she's listening today, but we'll write her question down. So her passion is really about, Joe, creating engaging and valuable content. And she loves creating content that enriches people's lives. And she really likes talking to entrepreneurs and connecting people and sharing stories, because she believes stories really connect each other and enrich each other's lives. So what question would you like to ask her for Thursday that I'll ask her live on my show?
I would ask how she finds it most meaningful to develop that type of aligned communication strategy. For me, I always think about, what do I love? What am I passionate about? And then the content almost takes care of itself, because this is what I love. This is what I'm passionate about. And then I'm able to build an outline and I talk about it. I had a boss that I loved and I still love and I treasured. He's one of the most inspirational leaders, if not the most inspirational leader I had ever. And every time he saw me, he'd say, Polanin, what are you reading and what are you writing about? And I would, I had to have an answer.
Yeah.
So I would talk to him and we would have conversations. And I always was an avid reader, but I enjoyed writing, but it wasn't something that I saw as an outlet for what I was passionate about. So I'd ask her, how do you develop that type of strategy, and when you develop it, how does that unfold?
Awesome. Well, that's great. I'm looking forward to that on Thursday to ask her and see how she responds to that. So, Joe, thank you so much for coming on my podcast on this very, very special day. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your honor. Thank you for your heart. Why don't you leave us today with final thoughts and tell everyone, if they want to connect with you and learn about your services, where they can find you. Send us off on this beautiful, beautiful day.
Tina, thank you so much. Again, it's absolutely my humble privilege and honor to be here with you today, to have the opportunity for this conversation. For those who would like to contact me or have a follow-on conversation, the best way to do that is through our website, and that's just thealakai.com, TheAlakaiGroup.com. In there, you'll find a way to request a meeting with me.
I'll post it for everyone.
Thank you.
I'll post it for everyone.
Thank you so much. I look forward to doing that and to receiving that from you. That's the best way. Final thoughts on today, as we mentioned earlier. Veterans Day originally began as Armistice Day. Of course, the end of World War I, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. And as we move forward to today, honored and dedicated to all of our veterans, I want to say there are somewhere around 18 million veterans in the United States today. And when we bring in their family members, it's over 50 million.
Wow.
So I would ask everyone to pause, and as we express gratitude every day, think about the freedoms that we have in our society and in our country, and those who have sacrificed, both veterans and family members who have served and sacrificed quietly and tirelessly over generations to preserve those freedoms. Our veterans and our families are our heroes. And today we dedicate our time, our heart,